Welcome back to the We Scale Creators podcast, episode 4. In this episode, we're going to be diving into how we went from $0 to $8.1 million in our first year as a fully remote agency. And a lot of people watching this or listening to this podcast, you're probably running a remote team. Remote teams are very common, but a big issue in remote work culture is a lack of efficiency, a lack of speed, and overall just a lack of output that a lot of business owners feel, especially post-COVID, when a lot of companies started going more remote. That's a big issue in the remote workspace as a whole. So one thing that we've really focused on at our agency is dialing in the culture, dialing in the team, dialing in the efficiency. And we're really going to be diving into the 3 biggest needle movers that helped us not only build the team and the A-player culture that we have at We Scale Creators, but how that translated into over $8 million in revenue in our first year of business. So I'm super excited about this one. It's going to be very tactical and give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes taste into how we do what we do at We Scale Creators.
Yeah, and this is a bold statement, but I think we move much faster than any in-person agency with a lot of the needle movers we're going to be covering right now. And I think we kick it off with really how we structure our company in terms of our culture, our communication, what platforms we use. You know, the biggest thing, every agency uses Slack, right? Most companies all use Slack. And this is a small one, but it's a big one. Because to me, you know, Slack is like a message board, right? You can't get into people's offices, you can't chat with them. Whereas with Discord, you know, we have an entire virtual office setup that I want to go into because this has been one of the biggest game changers at our agency for several reasons: for moving faster, for collaboration between team members. When our creative department wants to talk to other people in the creative department and they have questions or they want to, you know, talk about editing styles or creative styles, and being able to actually jump into someone's office like you would in person, but in a virtual setting, has been massive for us. So let's dive into how we have that structured, the way we go about it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest goal from the jump, right, was to try to recreate the in-person work environment virtually, because it's no secret that if we had every single person on our team from all across the United States and all across the world in person, in one room, all at one time, we could probably get a lot of stuff done. But that's not the reality. So our goal from the inception of We Scale Creators was how can we mimic that culture remotely? And like you said, Slack, at this point, Slack has almost become like Microsoft Teams, where it's very corporate-y, it's very boring, and people are just very monotonous about it. And like you said, there's a lot of core features that we've implemented at our agency that we wouldn't be able to do with something like Slack. So we're going to dive into that now. And also, just, you know, speaking candidly, Discord's pretty sick too. Like it's pretty sick. Cool. It's a good culture boost versus everyone just logging on to Slack and sitting there 24/7.
Yeah. So, you know, when we implemented this, like we saw performance go up across the board. And the way we have it set up is every single team member in our company has their own dedicated office inside of our Discord channel, right? So we see, you know, the exec office, we have the creative office, we have the copywriting office, and all of our copywriters will jump in there and so on and so forth. And essentially, you know, the key here is to set your status on what you're actively working on. So if you're working on a quiz funnel, you would type that in your status. And now the entire team knows when every single other team member is online, they know exactly what they're working on, which gives clarity to everybody, you know, on the team in terms of what everybody's working on. Camera's obviously off by default, mic's off by default, but if someone wants to jump in your office, they could jump in, have a quick 5-minute chat. Instead of sending messages back and forth for an hour, you can jump in and literally talk to someone and get clarity exactly on, you know, whatever you need to get clarity on.
Yeah, but it's also what these offices did, and this was a massive unlock for us when we did it, is it unlocked a level of accountability amongst our team. Because before, whether we were in Discord and didn't have offices or were in Slack or whatever, like you can see the little, you know, green ball next to someone's name if they're online, but I could be sitting on my phone and it's going to show that. But now when someone's in office, we make it very clear. If you're in office, you're working. So when our team members get online in the morning, whether it's 6 a.m., noon, 10 a.m., whatever time it is, they're like, oh, I see 3 other people in their office already cooking, and that makes them want to cook. A lot of these things are very unconscious programming, if you will, that we've done with our team to overall just promote a very very accountable culture and a very exciting culture
But yeah, exciting
at
for
what we
sure because
do.
it builds that energy and momentum, right? The entire team can feel when the entire team is online, everybody knows what everybody else is working on. You're building energy, momentum for the team as a whole. It improves the culture significantly. Compare this to any other remote company, right? That don't have offices. Like you said, everybody's online. Nobody knows what anybody's working on. Nobody knows what anybody's doing. You can't really jump in and talk to them. So the collaboration element of running a remote company with virtual offices is an absolute freaking game changer and has been a big, big game changer for our company as a whole.
Yeah, and it's awesome for us as, co-founders and the business owners to see our whole team online all the time. It's sick to see, dozens of people all in their offices at one time. And we've seen this play out time and time again. If so person A on the creative team is talking to person B on the creative team, they don't even need to involve us or try to send a billion messages back and forth to coordinate a Zoom meeting time. There's like, yo, look, see his office status. Okay, it doesn't say D&D, which we'll talk about in a second. He's available. Boom. I'm just going to jump in there right now. And they're able to get stuff done a lot faster, saving a ton of messages, ton of time. And this is really something that on a small scale might not seem super important. But when you're talking about, dozens of team members over the course of years, that's a lot of time saved. And that effort compounds. And we're starting to really see as our team continues to expand how much time that's saving and how much more efficient it's making everyone on the team.
Yeah, one other really big point here too, outside of, the team being in their offices is leadership. Like if you're running a company and you're running an agency and the leaders are always working and your team sees that, they're online in the morning, they're online in the afternoon, they get in Discord and we're online at 10 p.m. every single night working, they can see, leadership is serious. Like we're working hard, we're working, around the clock, and that's something that everybody can see. And that's a really, really big, important point for your team to see how serious leadership obviously is about the company as a whole.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, especially in like bro agency life, right? There's a lot of stigma around, oh, if you're a founder, it's like, I'm just going to work 2 hours a week from my laptop and, or from my phone and travel and whatever. And then maybe that works for some people, but for us, you and I have always done a great job of leading by example. And if we want our team to work hard, they've got to see us work hard. They got to know how much we care about the business, which will in turn elevate them and how much they care about the business. So you're right. When we're in office for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours at one time with no breaks, especially as it's been for a year plus now at this point, teams like, man, these guys really care. And that's something that goes a long way, especially for new employees too. They come in, they're like, oh shit, Nate and Pat are grinders. They really care about this. It sets the precedent from day one, which is absolutely massive.
Yeah. And in general, I mean, I think we got the main points across regarding Discord, but the culture, the community, element of it, I think is so far superior to Slack. I think it makes the culture better as a whole. I know this is small details, but the stickers and GIFs and all that stuff, it makes it more fun of a culture. And with Discord, what's cool too is like you can actually custom brand your entire server, right? So we have animated banners, we have our logos, we have channels that are organized nicely. It's very lively. That's how I would describe a Discord server versus a more corporate Slack setting. And, we just prefer it. We prefer it. It works for us at our agency. I think it makes our culture better as a whole. And I cannot stress how valuable the virtual office element of it is. I could never run a remote company again without having virtual offices. I think it's one of the biggest needle movers you could ever make for a remote company.
100%. There's simply a lot of energy in what we do. It's all about energy. How can we cultivate and transfer energy? And if we expect our team to be communicating back and forth and be in offices and be in Discord all day, we might as well make it fun. We might as well at least make it enjoyable, or most people aren't going to be as inclined to do it. So that's just one of the things, but especially looking back at last year, it was a huge unlock for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can also keep all our SOPs organized in there. Obviously, we use Asana, we use project management tools. We have everything built in Notion. It's very, very important, especially once you reach, 7-figure scale, close to 8-figure scale, that everything that we do is strictly documented, right? We have SOPs for every single process from A to Z of launching a new funnel, launching ads. Everything is processed out. And that's obviously absolutely critical for when we, are scaling offers, we're taking on new partners. As soon as we take on a new partner, everything is automatically organized. The team knows exactly what they need to do. They know what date that it's actually due by. They have SOPs for every single process. And this is how you have to run, a very successful agency.
And it's any business in general. This is something that I think, just having seen dozens and dozens of different agencies, like, everyone knows they need to do it, but very few people actually do it. And most importantly, do it and do it right. Like, everyone knows, oh, I need processes. I need to set up systems so the team and the business can run without me. But that sounds great in theory. But when you actually put it into practice, especially like we have with a very fast growing team and a fast growing client base, these things are constantly changing over the course of time. So you might start it and then you get pulled in a different direction. You don't go back to it. By the time you go back to it, everything has changed in your business. And it's very important that as the business changes, as our pods change, as our clients change, as our team changes, that those processes are ever evolving to make sure the team is staying on track with what is current and what is working. So it's the classic, you need systems and processes to scale any business of any kind, but you probably know that already. It's just about actually getting it implemented so the team, especially in their respective departments, can understand it and utilize it. There's a very big difference between thinking about it and doing it.
Yeah, it's also easier than ever now, right? With AI, there's no excuse. Whether you're an operation, minded person, or you're more of a marketing, it doesn't matter. Like, creating SOPs used to be really, really difficult and time consuming. Now, all you got to do is you got to get a Loom, recording your screen. You talk over what you're doing. You can have your team members create their own SOPs based on things they're doing simply by talking to Loom, overviewing, what they're doing, throw it in AI, create an entire written and video SOP, and now you're producing SOPs around the clock. It's very, very simple, very easy. There's no excuse at this point, if you're a business owner, to not have documentation and processes for literally every single thing that you do.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember even a year ago trying to make or update SOPs. It's like, okay, I got to go back and check this and restart from scratch. Now
manually
it's like,
write everything.
Yeah, and now it's like, I have existing version. I film Loom on what I want, new version, feed it to AI. AI spits it back. I'm like, oh, this is basically perfect. One click, automatically transfers into our knowledge base. It's crazy.
Yeah, I want to dive into our key meetings that we do every single week, because there's two of them. And, there's obviously the standard meetings that every company typically runs. There's the all hands meeting, weekly all hands. We do that. We do weekly one-on-ones. But the real magic happens with two of our meetings that I want to dive into. One of them is our leadership kind of vision meeting, where Nate and I sit down on a weekly basis and go over the entire company. And I want to dive into the details of this because this is really, really important. And then there's also the weekly pod war rooms. Which one do you want to kick off first?
Let's start with, just because we're on a topic of team and culture, let's start with the pod war room meetings. These have been, especially recently with some of the changes that we've made and focusing on quality over quantity in terms of ideas and execution from these meetings. I mean, we just had one today and it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, pod meetings are where the pod war rooms are where the real magic happens. And, with our agency, obviously, we are partners with every single, client that we work with, right? It's a performance basis only. We operate on a profit share model only. So it's very, very important that we are actively, optimizing every single aspect of the offer, the funnel, the advertising, the email sequences, new funnel launches that we're doing, because we're directly incentivized to scale the offer. We're backing it with our own capital, right? We're spending all of our own money on paid ads. So every single week, what we do with our team, our pod that is working on, the active offer, is we sit down for about an hour, and every single pod member, actually, let's start with the structure of it so everybody gets a clear idea on exactly how these work, because these are really, really big needle movers. So we start off by reviewing all the financials, right? Where are we at? What's our conversion rates on our funnel? Are we on track to hit our monthly revenue target? What else? Financials, conversion rates, advertising, KPIs. Are we hitting everything? Are we not? What's underperforming? What's performing well? It's kind of a full overview of everything.
It's a full overview of everything in terms of data, but most importantly, we're not just looking at the data, we're looking for information. And I actually just made a post about this, but they're very two distinct things. If we just pulled up a spreadsheet or our internal dashboard and, okay, conversion rate is this, CPC is this, ROAS is this. So we just looked at it just very monotonously, that'd be like cool, like it's dopamine because the offer's up or maybe it's down or whatever. But we're doing that every week to condition our team and ourselves, frankly, to start to spot trends in the data because the data is going to tell us stuff in terms of how well our ads are working, how good our funnel's converting, what things are going up, what things are going down. We're going to start to spot all those trends in those meetings, and it starts to condition our team to think beyond just their respective department. Because someone who's doing images or doing video, they might not be thinking about how well the funnel's converting. They're just focused on the ads. But in order to get the best work out of every single person and every single department leader, we need them to think like true offer owners. We need them to think like business owners. And the only way to do that is to examine all of the data, figure out the, one biggest improvement that we've had, or maybe the one lowest, thing that's going in the wrong direction that we've got to update. So it's very intentional. It's great to be able to see the data and we're winning and record months and record ROAS, but we're almost trying to spot, oh man, our front end conversion rate might be down this week. Oh, it's actually been up a lot since the last week, but now it's going down. Why? Like, how does that correlate to new ads that went live or a new split test that went live? So it's all that to say, it's the intention about why we're looking at the data versus just the data alone. And I've seen that over time with a number of our team members start to just think differently about their role and how it plays into the broader picture of the offer and the company.
Yeah, and it's also really important. One of the biggest things that we did a few months ago is we created custom dashboards for every single partner, as well as like a blended one where we could see all of our partners combined. What is the blended ROAS? What is every single funnel stat, right? And our team has access to this. So our team has real-time visibility on every single offer, as well as, every single month we set a new target. So we call it our wildly important goal. And it's the revenue target as well as the ROAS target. That's primarily the two things that we're aiming for on a monthly basis. So our team can see our target. Are we projected to hit that target? They can see all of the data across the funnel side. And I'm talking all of the data: conversion rates, order form conversion rates, upsell conversion rates, downsell conversion rates. What's the book call percentage? What's the sales closing rate? What's the, DPL on every single call that comes in? So our team always has access to this data. And we also have comparisons, like month over month. Are we above last month? Are we below last month? By what percentage? What's underperforming? So that's been huge for us. We go over that initially on every single pod war room. Our team has, they have clarity on everything that's going on. And then every single pod role pitches, obviously based on their respective department, right? So they come with a pitch. Now, the way they do this, right, if you're a copywriter, maybe you're looking at the funnel and you're looking at what's underperforming. Maybe the upsell page is underperforming this week. How can we improve the conversion rate on it? Do we need a new headline? What data do we have? Do we have winning ads that we could look at that have been crushing it and maybe take the headline from one of those ads and throw it on the funnel and split test that, right? And it's for every single department, right? So same with image. The image department is looking at the creatives that they made previous weeks. What's underperforming? What's performing? Is there any patterns that we're seeing? What kind of new angles can we do? Also, obviously, competitor research is very, very big. We look at what other competitors are doing in the market. Are they doing anything that's working very, very well? Can we add our own spin to it? Et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, especially with, our role, right? We're in our company, we're a marketing and advertising agency. We have a lot of creatives on the team, and they want to be creative. We want to incentivize and promote their ability to be creative. But I think we did this, less than a few months ago. Like I said, we started focusing on the quality of their pitches rather than just pitch us a bunch of ideas and we'll see what we can do. And now that we've been running with that new structure for a while, the pitches are a lot more thought out. There's data to back them up. The team members are literally giving reasoning like, here's my idea. Here's why I think it's good. Here's when I think we should do it. They're literally selling us on why their idea is good. And I heard this, I can't remember where I heard this. Maybe I saw it on Twitter, but the reason why, some companies will have people literally type up memos internally if they want to do an idea. And that's because it forces the person writing it to think beyond just the spark, right? You might be like, oh man, I want to run a video that looks like this. And if that's all your thought is, it's not really thought out. You haven't fleshed out the idea yet. But when it forces you to sit down, explain yourself, expand on the idea, I bet there's been a number of times where people on our team have done pitches and they're like, actually, maybe that's not a good idea. And that's fine. We want them to have ideas that are well thought out. And we saw it even today. We get on and, team members like, all right, I got 2 ideas. And one guy's like, all right, I got 1 idea. But we look at the idea and we're like, this is absolutely fucking fire. Like, this is exactly what we need. And that's the culture that we want to promote is we want you to bring ideas. We want you to be creative, but make sure to flesh out the idea and tie it into the goal that we have either for that partner or for the company as a whole or for an upcoming
or even exactly. I was going to say, because one of the biggest things that we do in these war rooms as well is look at what, seasonality based launches, what's trending, what are the upcoming holidays, right? At the time of recording this right now, we have Valentine's Day coming up. We have tax refund season coming up. So our, entire pod is very aware of that, and they can structure their ideas to upcoming launches and kind of milestones or whatever, and create ideas based on that. And today we had an absolutely exceptional pod war room because of that, right? We have a target. We know what we're creating our ads around and so on and so forth. And then at that point, we can look at it and the whole team can offer their input on it, right? So if the image creative, person on our team is presenting their idea, well, we have everybody else on the team on that call as well that can throw in their input and refine it. And as a team, we can continue making it better and better and better. And this has been so pivotal for us. These pod war rooms, are so valuable and worth so much money because this is where our best ideas come out, when you have everybody in the pod working on the same thing. We can all ideate together, and that's how we have such great longevity with our funnels as well. Like a lot of funnels I see out there will run for 3 months, 6 months, and they die out. Well, we have infinite optimization on a weekly basis between new split tests, between new creatives, new videos, new ideas, new launches, ad account optimization, and, et cetera.
And going back to what we said earlier about culture, it's like it promotes everyone being blended. It's not just video wants to do this, video is going to go do that. Image wants to do this, image is going to go do that. You have people in different departments sharing ideas and collaborating, and a team member might give a pitch. Someone else from a different department is like, "Oh, I think this is a good idea and I can help you out with that." And then the other person's like, "Cool, that sounds sick." Then they get together after the fact and make it happen. So it again, going back to remote work and how we're able to promote this, cross collaboration amongst departments, getting creatives together and getting key players on a team together to sit down, focus on one thing at one time and present some of their best ideas ever. It's fun and it's exciting. And like you said, we get a lot of some of our best ideas I think we've ever executed on for clients
For sure.
have come out of those meetings. And they take 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week across all of our partners. It's not a huge time commitment, but it's about what you're doing with that time that ultimately makes it the most valuable. And that's a precious hour that we spend on, a per client level every single week.
Yeah, that's also why our creative win rate is so high, right? Like a lot of agencies will have a 10%, 20% creative win rate. Well, we're looking at the data every single week. We're ideating as a team on how to make it better. And, we launch it. There's no ego. There's no attachment to anything. We look strictly at the data, and that's how we have such high win rates. That's how we scale offers so quickly. I mean, every partner we've brought on to this point, for the most part, has hit $300K a month within 90 days and typically $500,000 a month between month 4 to month 6.
It's crazy, too, to see some of the ideas that people bring in here and how it, has an impact on a client. Like, for example, won't name him, but one of our team members a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago or so, was like, "Oh, I really want to start testing like AI hooks for this client because we haven't shot with them in a while and it's holidays. Like, I think we should test some like AI hooks with like winning bodies that we've already done." And we're like, it sounds cool, might work, might not, but like well thought out and worth testing. Fast forward now, some of those ads are ripping, 1.4x plus ROAS on the front end for some of our low ticket offers. And that's an idea that, you and I might have thought of, but that team member took initiative on the idea. And then we're like, cool, worth testing, when executed on it. And that's making us thousands and thousands of dollars a day at this point, just based off that one idea. Compound that over multiple clients, multiple funnels, multiple offers over the course of a year. And it's probably made us an extra, multiple millions of dollars just based on these pod war rooms alone. Oh, absolutely massive. Have to do it. If you don't want to model it the way that we've had it set up, if you're an agency owner listening to this, strongly recommend doing something at least similar to what we're describing.
Yeah, a little pro tip too. Like we changed our process for this where we have our media buyer now send a full report before the pod meeting, the day before. So our entire team is in the loop on what's happening on the advertising side, and being able to look at the data even more in depth has been, something small, but has been a big game changer. And yeah, I'm sure there's so much more we could talk about these pod worms that we're forgetting, that ideas will pop up later. But I think it's also really important to talk about our weekly vision meetings, because that has been huge for us. And this is more so if you're a business owner, if you're a leader, if you have a co-founder, or even if you're by yourself and you want to do this solo. It's been absolutely massive, where Nate and I meet every single Thursday. Today, we're going to do this tonight, and we essentially go over the entire business. So we start by looking at the financials. What is every client, at? Are we on target to hit our KPIs for them? We go over every single team member, what they're doing amazing. Maybe there's little things that they could do to improve. We'll map those out. We get into every single partner, all the upcoming things that we have planned for them. Again, same thing. It's like what's underperforming and what's not, as well as what is on the to-do list. What do we have on the horizon that we need to have clarity on, and so on and so forth, right? And we go even more nitty-gritty than that. We go into the overall vision of the company at a high level. We go over what's our number one constraint this week, right? Can we get clarity on the number one constraint so that we can obviously start solving it? What about culture? How is culture looking? Are there things that we could be doing to improve culture? And we go over these key points every single week. And then what we do is we create a weekly vision digest, right, for our entire team. So now inside of our Discord channel on a weekly basis, we'll post the weekly vision digest that Nate and I went over, in terms of the entire business, and our team has clarity on what the leaders are thinking and where the leaders are planning to take the business, both for the clients that we're working with as well as the business as a whole. And this is really, really big, because a lot of, companies, and I would say even more so remote companies, the team members are working, not all the time, they don't have clarity on what the leaders are doing.
Yeah, and me and you both know this. Our team's getting to the size where I don't talk to every single team member every single week. You don't talk to every single team member every single week. And even the ones that we do, it might be for one specific thing or another specific thing. But this vision digest that a team actually requested from us, some point last year, it allows them to get into our heads and where are we planning on taking the business? What are things that we are doing well? What is the vision that we have? And it doesn't have to be super long term. It's not like we're going to be worth 100 million in 3 years and it's every week. It's like that vision gets refreshed. It's still the same broader goal of where we want to go, but in terms of short to near term, we want to head in this direction and here's what we got to do to get there. They very much appreciate seeing that and understanding it even before it actually gets implemented. So that's been huge for us too. And even those vision meetings, man, it's like sometimes we'll go for like an hour and a half. And there's
sometimes
we've probably done 4-hour vision meetings at this point.
Those vision meetings are probably the most valuable time we spend on the company in general. I think those vision meetings are worth tens of thousands of dollars every single time we do them. And here is where you take it to the next level. So what we've done is we've been doing these for about a year straight, right? And we recorded them. And now we're getting transcriptions of every single vision meeting where we're training an AI model every single week with updated information on everything that's going on in our business. Like I said, ranging from financials to partners to overall vision to constraints. And once you have a year's worth of data, the AI knows everything about your business. It knows what the patterns are. It knows everything, right? And now you have pretty much an AI consultant that can answer questions on what's going on in your business. What are the patterns that maybe I'm not seeing that we've been talking about for the last year? Maybe a constraint keeps popping up, right, that we haven't solved yet. And the AI is sitting there yelling at you, you haven't solved this constraint. You've been talking about it for 6 months straight. And that has been huge, huge for us to do that. So if you're, an agency owner or a business owner, or you have a co-founder or whatever, I would strongly, strongly encourage you to do these on a weekly basis. Get them transcribed, throw them in an AI model. It will be one of the biggest game changers you've made, because obviously, we sometimes there's patterns that we just don't recognize, right? That the AI will recognize, that we've been talking about over and over, because we're moving fast. It's a fast growing agency. We'll slip up, we'll miss things, but that's why it's really important to get everything kind of recorded, transcribed, and continue training that model.
Yeah, especially if something's big, like we're trying to make a big decision about a client or a new funnel or something financial related or a new team member, whatever it might be, and we're talking about it over the course of weeks and even months. When we're ready to actually make that decision and examine all the information, we'll just message that AI and be like, "Hey, we're about to take action on this. What do you think about it?" Like you said, and it'll go through and it'll have every single emotion, positive, negative, every thought that we ever had about that issue, because we're talking about it on a weekly basis. And it'll give us what it thinks it should be. And it's important that that AI has as much information about you and your company and your team as possible, or it's not going to be fully accurate. And in my opinion, it's way better than paying some external consultant human who you got to give updates to and information to, and they can't be on every call. The AI can be in every freaking call, and it's going to know just as much, if not more, than a human would in that sense. So it's been absolutely huge for us when it comes to making important decisions to be able to go back and reference those previous vision meetings. And the choice at that point typically becomes pretty clear because we have all the data.
Yeah, and this is all, ties back into how do you run a successful remote company, right? These vision meetings, these weekly pod war rooms, I mean, these have been absolutely massive for us. And then, moving on past that, it's like, well, when you run a remote company or when you run a company in general, everybody knows you need to hire A players, right? You want A players. A players are 10 times more valuable than B players. And we're at a point in our agency right now where we can confidently say we have a team of freaking killers. We have an entire team of A players, and it wasn't always like that, right? And it's never like that for any business, right? And I'm sure we're going to obviously get people that aren't A players down the road, but I want to talk about how you can essentially attract and retain A players, because that is going to make or break your business, especially in an agency setting, right? You need to have absolute killers in every single role. And, the way we do it in terms of retaining A players is we offer incentives, right? So our current partners right now, we operate on an incentive-based model, right? We have a profit share model, performance-based model, and it's the same inside of our company where our pod members are incentivized to drive results based on the profit that we generate. They get a percentage, right? And this for now is senior members only, right? And there's junior members that come on our team that will work their way up into that profit share model as well. And when we need second pods, they will also be incorporated in that. But the senior members of your company, especially at an agency, need to be incentivized to drive results. Otherwise, they're going to get in, they're going to do some work, they're going to clock out. There's no extra push. There's no extra incentive for them to drive results on their own time. Or maybe they're on a walk and they're like, how do I make more money? Well, if I can drive more revenue to this offer with this new idea and I implement it, I'm going to directly make more money because I'm incentivized. Offering and aligning incentives is the best way to retain A players.
Yeah, it's well said. And I have a ton of thoughts on this that probably deserves its own episode that we'll probably do at some point. But the one of the only industries that I've seen who's done this very, very well is tech. Tech people, and maybe it's because they're all funded and worth $100 million pre-revenue, but tech companies, they understand that if you want the best talent, you got to pay for it. And you got to pay for it right out the gate. And you got to pay for it long term, whether that means profit share or equity or, greater vested equity over time. The Facebooks, the LinkedIns, the YouTubes, the Googles, all these companies do that very well. And that's why they have these senior team members that have been with the company since the beginning. That's because they were getting paid what they could be at the beginning, but the owner of the company or the co-founder of the company, they were instilling a culture of not only leadership but also ownership amongst the team. And that's a very important distinction. And I think a lot of people miss this. When you can get your team to not just think like leaders of their department, but owners of the business, if they can put in their mind, I am an owner of WeScale Creators. I am an owner of WeScale Creators. And more importantly, it's actually true that in a way they are an owner because their success and their financial success goes up and down with the company. If you got the right person in that seat, they're going to produce way better results than if you just stick them on a flat salary. And that's something that I heard early on in my career is like, you got to think like an owner. You got to get your team and inspire your team to think like owners. And at the end of the day, everyone wants to make money. There's no better incentive, especially in a remote workplace where we're trying to get great and talented people, than money. And how does ownership work? Well, we get to ride the high if things go well, and if things don't go well, we feel the low. Obviously, the team, we got to make sure their bills are paid and their families are fed with some sort of base. But when we win as co-founders and owners, we want them to be winning right along with us.
Well, what happens when they operate as they take ownership? It's like, well, now they don't need to be micromanaged because they're incentivized, right? So they also move faster. They also do better quality work because they know their work is directly tied to the results they generate. So it is a game changer all around in terms of faster, output, better quality output. Everything is better as a whole. Instead of them sitting there asking, what's my job? What do I do today? It's like, well, how do I make an extra $100,000 for this offer? What creatives can I make that are going to crush KPIs, that are going to increase conversion rates? They're thinking like you said, like an owner, like a true marketer that are actually incentivized to drive better results. It's indescribable how valuable this is. And most companies just don't offer this. And if they do, it's a very, very small margin.
Yeah, and I don't really know why. I think a lot of founders or co-founders are just scared to offer it. They think they're overexposing themselves. I don't know. I can't really speak for them. And I know for us, it's a conversation that we've had multiple times, and we've changed that structure and we've updated it as, most things in the business over time. But just like anything, right? It's when executed correctly, this is absolutely massive, because the team are the ones at the end of the day who are driving the results of the offer directly through their day-to-day work. And they're, not exclusively, but they have a huge role in the success of that offer as a whole. And we want to keep them around. And that goes for offers we have now. That goes for stuff in the future, new clients that we bring on, new partners. And again, it's just a nice extra layer to get them to go above and beyond and really take ownership of their work. And the last thing that I think is worth bringing up about this, at least on my end, is we're talking about how we, built this company from 0 to 8 million in 1 year. What this incentive structure does, and everyone's aware of this, by the way, the core senior team members are all aware of this. So it's not like, one person knows, one person doesn't. There's awareness on this. It makes there be a little bit of a competition where no one wants to be in last place. No one wants to let the other person down. And we've had team members bring this up to us in private where they might be like, oh, I cooked, extra hard on this campaign or creative batch or whatever it is last week, because I don't want to feel like I was letting the pod down. I don't want to feel like I was letting, my peers down. And to hear that, it's like, man, they're taking real accountability and real ownership into, I could have very easily just pushed that deadline off till Monday or Tuesday and taken the weekend off, but I put in some extra hours this weekend, or I stayed on late on Friday night to make sure that this thing got done by the deadline. And not to say that it's impossible to have that if you're paying people hourly or on a flat salary, but it's very, very rare.
Yeah. Everything at the end of the day just starts from the leadership level down as well. Like if you want to grow a company very, very quickly, whether it's in person, whether it's in remote, it really doesn't matter. It all comes down to how strong the leadership is, how fast, how hard do we work, how bad do we want it. The team can feel all of that. The team knows when leadership does not fuck around. And we're here to take over the entire agency space, and that's exactly what we're doing in real time right now. We're growing faster than any other agency that I've ever heard of in my entire life. Going from 0 to $8 million was even beyond our expectations. I mean, we had a target to go from 0 to 5 million in our first year, and that was a goal that was basically impossible, right? Like 0.01% of businesses have ever done that on Earth. And we went from 0 to $8 million. And we've talked about this in previous episodes in terms of how we did it, profit share model, the clientele that we work with, how good we are, what we do, and the results that we deliver. But at the end of the day, it's our obsession with our craft. And one of my biggest thing is the only moat is love of the game. That's the biggest moat, right? Especially with AI now. It's like, people are going to start being able to, duplicate a lot of what other people are doing. What they cannot compete on is love of the game, which directly translates to, the work ethic that you put in, the quality of work that you put in, and it all starts from the leadership level and bleeds down.
Yeah, it's love of the game and it's energy. It's like when we had our offsite, like we brought, that was one of the best things I think we did all of 2025, which probably deserves its own episode too. But when we had that, when we
should
showed
talk
up
about that, actually.
We definitely should. We probably will. So stay tuned for that episode because that's coming soon. But when we did that, it was like there was an energy amongst everyone. And you and I had met most of the team in person before. Maybe some people we, hadn't met and other team members hadn't met each other. But it's about the energy that we bring. And that energy stems from the love of what we do. And like we said earlier, how can we expect our team to work more than 40 hours a week if we're not doing it? How can we expect them to go above and beyond and get things done for other people if we're not doing that? So it has to start from top down, especially when you're at the vulnerable business stage when you're early into your company and God forbid one bad thing happens or one really good thing happens and it's a huge pendulum swing. It's like you said, it starts from leadership, it starts from the top, and the team can sense that. They feed off of it, and they feed off of it whether it's positive or negative. So that's something that anyone who's an agency owner out there listening to this should be very, very mindful of.
Yeah, well said. What have we not covered? Is there anything else? I think those are the big key to needle movers here. It's incentivizing the team. It's ensuring that you have vision meetings are massive. It was the pod war room. What else?
Yeah, I mean, we
Discord,
talked
over
about
Slack,
Discord.
virtual offices. These are the biggest things, right? There's everything else that all businesses do that we know, but these are the kind of things that we feel we do different than most other agencies. And these are the big things that have really allowed us to grow, as quickly as we have.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll touch on is the offsite, which should have a full separate podcast about how important the offsite is, because this is common in like big corporate America, company offsites, retreats, whatever. I haven't seen that many, true just agency people do that, and at least
And not the way we do it.
Not the way we do it. And that, in terms of culture, is huge for us. Everyone talks about culture. Very few people know what it is. Even fewer know how to cultivate a good culture. But when you do that, the team enjoys showing up to work. They enjoy what they do. They enjoy how they get paid and how much they get paid at the end of the day, right? That culture, it all starts with that. It ends with that. It starts with you and I's relationship, our relationship with senior members of our team, and their relationship with juniors under them. And that all bleeds down. It starts from the top. And if you really want to grow any big business in any industry, these premises that we've discussed in this episode of culture, of accountability, of creative collaboration, these are things that have to happen. This isn't a secret, and it might look different for you than it does for us, but these are like we said earlier, the biggest needle movers for us that took our freaking results on a rocket ship in 2025, and there's only going to be more this year.
Yeah, the offsite, I know we'll save it for another episode, but I mean, don't be afraid to invest in the offsite either, right? Like we got a mansion, right? We spent over 10 grand on an Airbnb with the most beautiful view. We got a private chef that came and cooked every single meal for us. We went out. It built a lot of connection between every single team member, right? And that bleeds directly into the work. Like once they're done with the offsite, everybody leaves inspired. They are more, they're friends now, right? They built that connection. They're going to work more efficiently with each other. They're going to have more fun doing it. It improves culture tremendously. And if you're a remote company and you're not meeting everybody, you're not going to have the same connection that you would, obviously, if you had an amazing weekend with everybody. And we'll save it for another episode because there's so much we do during these offsites in terms of vision, in terms of, improving our company, in terms of getting better results for our clients. But I think we kick it off. We end it here. And yeah.
Yeah, well, good podcast, guys. If you got any value out of this, make sure to leave us some love in the comments. We're responding to every single comment. If this sounds like someone that you know are interested or working with WeScale Creators, head to WeScaleCreators.com, learn more about our business, see more about our team, apply to work with us. And if you know someone who could be a good fit and man, I think you guys could really blow up their funnel or their offer, their business, head to 100Kreferral.com. Take a look through our qualification and the clients that we work with. And if someone's a good fit, we'd love to have a conversation with them and incentivize you to keep sending business our way.
See you next week.